Good morning. Being 9 a.m., I'll call to order the McHenry County Board Committee of the Whole meeting of May 16, 2024, and Mr. Scala will lead us in the pledge today.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Kathy, could you call the roll, please?
Carolyn Campbell. Here. Joseph Gottemoller. Here. Terry Greeno. Here. Eric Hendricks.
Present.
Carl Kaminsky.
President, count four.
James Kearns. Here. Matthew Kunkel. Here. Teresa Meshes. Lou Ness. John Reinhardt.
Here.
Brian Sager. Michael Shorten.
Here.
Michael Scala.
Present.
Larry Smith.
Here.
Gloria Van Hoff.
Present.
Tracy Von Bergen.
Here.
Kelly Wegner.
Here.
Chairman Bueller.
Here. Okay, having a quorum, I'll entertain a motion to allow Ms. Ness and Mr. Hendricks to attend remotely. Ms. Wegner makes the motion. Mr. Scala seconds. All in favor say aye. Aye. Against? Welcome Ms. Ness and Mr. Hendricks. We'll move on to my comments. Good morning. I hope everyone had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend. I have several items to share with the board before we begin reviewing the agenda for next Tuesday's voting meeting. Last week was Public Service Recognition Week, and I'd like to once again thank our loyal and hardworking county employees for everything they do. And thank you to every county board member who took the time to thank them for their service and who attended last Thursday's Employee Appreciation Lunch. Last week also happened to be Teacher Appreciation Week and National Nurses Week. So to our teachers and our nurses, on behalf of myself and the county board, I say thank you. I'm pleased to inform the county board that the sheriff's office will be cutting the ribbon a week from today on the new law enforcement shooting range in Cary. The ceremony will take place at 10 a.m. May 23rd at the new facility in Cary. Like the Regional Training Center we opened last November, this range for our sheriff's deputies and county law enforcement personnel is yet another feather in our cap for projects we needed done and made happen. Several weeks ago, Kane County officials joined Algonquin Village President Debbie Sosine in taking down the toll signs for the Longmeadow Parkway Fox River Bridge. The elimination of the toll for the bridge that will be open later this year was made possible in part by a $1 million advanced McHenry County allocation the county board approved in December, which will save commuters between $200 and $300 a year in tolls. When I was approached by Kane County Chair, I immediately thought this was a great way to use our ARPA funds to save McHenry County taxpayers millions of dollars over the coming years. And once again, it's inspiring to see the Advanced McHenry County program continue to bear fruit and create tangible benefits. Two meetings are taking place later today that hold interest for county board members and the McHenry County community. This evening, our Regional Planning Commission will be holding a public hearing to solicit comments on the draft 2050 Comprehensive Plan prior to its submission to the County Board. The hearing starts at 6 p.m. right next door in Conference Room A. After an overview presentation of the plan, attendees will be able to offer verbal comments to the Commission. This afternoon, the R1 Regional Planning Commission will be holding a workshop in Woodstock to collect feedback on a future update to the comprehensive economic development strategy that helps guide future economic growth for the three-county region of McHenry, Boone, and Winnebago counties. The workshop takes place from 4 to 5:30 p.m. today at Woodstock Public Library, 414 West Judge Street. If you can't make it, they will be meeting from 4 to 5:30 next Tuesday prior to our monthly voting meeting at the Community Building Complex of Boone County in Belvedere. And finally this morning, I'll wrap up my remarks with another local agency soliciting feedback on an important planning document. The McHenry County Division of Transportation is seeking public input on the McHenry County Moves 2050 Long Range Transportation Plan. The draft plan and executive summary are available on the DOT website, and comments, questions, and feedback can be emailed to Assistant Director of Transportation Scott Hennings through May 28th. That's all I have today. Are there any member comments this morning? Mr. Kaminsky.
I'd like to give a shout out and a thank you. On May 3rd in Johnsburg, our Johnsburg Business Association held an expo. And that's where the local businesses, came and showed their wares and goods. And with that, I approached them and I said, well, we at the county, we provide goods and services. Why don't we let the people see that? They thought it was a good idea, went forth. I'd like to give a shout out and a thank you to the Transportation, Planning and Development, Mental Health, the Health Board, Valley High, Conservation Department, our own administration, and the state's attorney's office, and you too, Mr. Chairman, for allowing me to use the flags. They were a perfect centerpiece. The common theme that I got from the folks that came by and saw all the information and goods and services that this great county has to offer were, we never knew. And a big hitter was the conservation, because we got boating, we have horseback riding, canoeing, kayaking. They had no clue. Or the scenic tour from the transportation. Those were big hitters. I thank all of you guys for helping me put on the display and give the information to the people. Thank you.
Ms. Beshes?
Thank you. Yesterday, I drove down to Springfield for the Illinois Association of County Officials conference. It's actually a couple days long, but I was only there for yesterday. It was very interesting, so maybe I encourage us all to go in the future. I was down there specifically for a meeting of the Illinois Association of County Board Members. Many of us had received an email, I don't know if we all saw it, looking for input on whether or not the Illinois Association of County Board Members should create a subcommittee on county-run nursing homes. And so I was there for that portion. I was there for the whole meeting, but that was the part of the meeting that I was invited to give input on. And I think that this could be a valuable partnership that we could have across counties to support each other in helping the county-run nursing homes be successful in the state of Illinois, and in perhaps sharing information. And there's looking into maybe some lobbying to help us be more successful with caring for our the population that we care for in the nursing homes. So just wanted to inform the board. Thank you.
Thank you for attending that. Ms. Greeno?
Thank you. With California now doing bidirectional charging, where they're actually taking electricity from private property, it's something for us to look at, especially in light of our 2050 plan coming up. Global warming, which has been relatively benign, is 43% less than any forecast produced by 36 projections and all of the models that have been put together. It could be all natural, and there has been no causality to fossil fuel burning demonstrated since this research started. The takeaways that we can look is that the observed rate of global warming over the past 50 years is weaker than has been predicted. Number two, the climate models that guide public energy policy do not conserve energy, a necessary condition for any physically based model of the climate system. And number three, public policy should be based on climate observations which are unremarkable, rather than climate models that exaggerate climate impact. The popular perception of a climate crisis resulting calls for economic significant regulations of CO2 emissions is not supported by science and should not drive public policy.
Thank you. We have public comment today. you. Gloria Foxman? And just a reminder, you'll have 3 minutes in which you can address the board. At that point, the red light will come on in front of me. If you have not completed your comments, I would ask you to summarize. Hi.
I tried to indicate that on the sheet. I'm not here to make a comment. I'm just here in case there's any questions about item number 2 on the consent agenda.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ryan Solom? Okay. Kyle Lindy?
Good morning. My name is Kyle Lindley. I'm owner-operator of Prairie Enterprises. It's a family-owned operation since the year 2000. We're here regarding rezoning for a B1 to B3 in Crystal Lake. This is my dad, who is also part owner of the Prairie Enterprises. We have 4 locations in McHenry and Northern Kane County, 1 in Marengo, 2 in Lake in the Hills, 1 in Carpentersville. Future growth in Marengo and possibly in Gilbert's and also in Crystal Lake. Crystal Lake is located on the corner of Route 176 and 14. It is appropriate for a mixed use, and the McHenry County future goal is that this area be a mixed zoning use. This 17 acres is large enough for two purposes. We were planning on putting a storage facility on the southern part, and the northern part will be used as a commercial use for a strip mall and other types of commercial use, and the southern part, again, used for storage. The access for this commercial will be a great increase for the businesses because there is a traffic light right there, and we do have full access to that light. Finally, there's also no storage facilities on the west side of Crystal Lake. The Zoning and Planning Committee unanimously approved our plans to change the zoning of this property from V1 to B3, and this will allow for different types of future commercial use for this property. The City of Crystal Lake has proposed a resolution after the planning and zoning meeting to protest the rezoning for the reasons that are unknown. The city rejected the use of self-storage on a property that is
Summarize
east.
your comments, please.
Okay.
Okay, one more minute. Sorry. Slip of the finger. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. It scared me there. Sorry. Okay. Anyway, for the reasons that are unknown, the city rejected the use of the property to the east of us because that was not the primary use. It was just a secondary thought to put storage units into that location. The city said that they would consider storage units to the property that is west, which is the one that we are considering. Crystal Lake recently approved a storage facility on Route 176 and 31 this week, and also additionally, an additional facility was added to the Route 14 and 31. We intend to make this project a great-looking and top-of-the-line commercial facility. We will protect the environment and the watershed area and do everything then in our powers and what that is needed to do to protect the environment and the watershed of Crystal Lake. The storage facility has less traffic flow than a average gas station or a fast food facility. Thank you very much for letting me speak here today, and I'll be available for any kind of comments or questions when this item comes up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that concludes public comment. We'll proceed to reports and presentations. This morning, we have a presentation by the Mental Health Board President, Connie Machini, and Executive Director, Leonetta Rizzi.
Gotcha, Connie. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to give you a little history of the Mental Health Board. In 1963, John F. Kennedy started the Community Mental Health Act, and he said at the time that there was nothing for mental illness or mental retardation. It was the most critical need in the area, in the United States. Everybody at that time was going into facilities, big facilities, and especially in Illinois, Elgin State Hospital, Tinley, all the big facilities. So on October 31st, 1963, John F. Kennedy signed into the law, being the Community Mental Health Act. In Illinois, in 1965, we had House Bill 708, which allowed the Community Mental Health Act to be part of Illinois. And at times, we're called the 708 Board because of House Bill 708. And then in McHenry County, in 1967, it was brought to the referendum to give taxpayers out of your tax bill for your house money to go into mental health. And at that time, we created in McHenry County a 9-member board, and we are in charge of getting mental health services into the county. I just want to go into here. And we are a special purpose unit of government. We have our own power and duties. Like I said, we have a tax levy, and that's what has funded us throughout the years. As we know, that this referendum in March says it will be a sales tax now, not a real estate tax levy. So that's something new. We are accountable to you. We're accountable to the county in bringing mental health services to this county. We fund 80 different programs, 30 different agencies in McHenry County at the present time. We have a long history. I'm not watching the board, so I'm going way back. We have a long history as being looked up to as a good mental health agency in the county. Not every county in Illinois has a mental health board. And as you look at it, some of them have small health boards. They have what they call a 377, a 553 board, and they look up to us as the experts in the state of Illinois. We've been around the longest. 1967 is when it was developed. We are active in IACMA, which is the Association of Community Mental Health Authorities of Illinois, and we listen to all the needs. Every year, agencies put in their requests, their applications for funding. We review those applications for funding in the fall, and all the funding is granted for December 1st, as your fiscal year is December 1st to November 30th. We have, like I said, we have a 9-member board. We have me as the president. Vice president is Ray Lapis. Our treasurer is Lindsay Kiesman, and Adam Carson is our secretary. We have 3 positions that are up for reappointment this year, and that is Greg Alexander, Adam Carsons, and Michael Baber. Also, the chairman will pick somebody for next year to be our representatives from the county board, because that is up. Our meetings are always the 4th Tuesday of every month at 6 o'clock, and we welcome the public and public comment. So I think that I'm going to turn it over to Leo after I tell you what we're in charge to do with the Community Mental Health Act. We consult with appropriate agencies in the county, and like I told you, we fund 80 different programs in 30 different agencies. We submit a written plan for the community mental health. We execute programs and maintain services. We review and evaluate community and mental health services and facilities. We hire staff, set wages. We do a budget, which we present to the county board. And we accept levy dollars and now with sales tax dollars. I do want to say one thing, that our budget right now is about 10.9 million. With the sales tax, we look at about 12 to 12.5 million. And there's been a number that's been passed around 14 million. We're looking at that figure to do a budget with. So it is more money, and we're happy that it passed. I don't know if, I think I'm going to turn it over to Leo. I gave you some background, and if you have any questions now or ever, please ask. I'm willing to come and talk to anybody, so I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Connie. Again, our mission at the Mental Health Board is to lead and contract for behavioral health and intellectual developmental disability prevention and treatment services for all people of McHenry County. We do have, and we've passed it around before, our 2024 to 2026 strategic action plan. I was hoping to have hard copies for you all today, but they're not printed yet. So we're hoping to get those shortly. But I know we did pass out our strategic plan in the past in a PDF format. One of the areas of a strategic plan came out of the community health needs assessment, in that many people in McHenry County, it was about a third of people in McHenry County didn't know where to turn for resources. So the board has really made a huge emphasis on awareness of our providers and our services as one of our strategic plans. As you've been seeing, we've been doing, since this fiscal year, since December, we've been doing monthly articles in the Northwest Herald to promote our agencies and to promote awareness. Also, I've provided the insert that we recently had for Mental Health Month to you all in front of you. That insert was a special insert that we did for Mental Health Month. Also, it promotes all our providers. The last page has all our providers that are listed there. So again, we're trying to get that message out to the community. This presentation, I'm glad that we're here today, is more of an annual report update, as the health department has been doing. And we want to do this more in the future. And talking to Pete, we're going to put this on the agenda yearly for the county board, so that the mental health board does have a presence here in front of the board, besides coming to public health and finance for our budgets. But again, in light of the awareness campaign, one of the things we really want to do is not only promote our services through what we call a McHelp app. We have an app that is available on your phone that has all the services in McHenry County, not only what we fund, but all the services. So that is one thing that we're really trying to promote, along with 988. 988 is a 3-digit number for suicide prevention and also information and referrals, much like 211. So again, those are items that we're trying to promote throughout the county and as part of our strategic plan. When we look at the overall operations of the Mental Health Board, again, it's the board of directors and it's our staff. And our funding cycle, as Connie just mentioned, is going to be approaching. We're actually going to be opening up our NOFA, our Notice of Funding Availability, May 31st, and it'll run through July 31st, where there'll be applications. Where there will be applications that will be submitted during that time. Then they'll be reviewed by the staff and board, and decisions will be made in October for December 1. So that is our funding cycle. We also are CARF accredited, and one of our accomplishments that I'll show you in a moment too, but I'll mention it now as well. One of our accomplishments for 2023 was that we received not only our reaccreditation from CARF, but also we received it with no recommendations, which is one of the highest accolades you can get, that they didn't find anything as far as opportunities for improvement. So we were really proud of that in 2023. We also have a network council committee meeting, which comprises of all our funded network executives that meet monthly to look at collaboration, look at gaps, look at fulfilling our strategic action plan together. We also have a quality management team meeting that reviews all the outcomes from the funded agencies and discusses those outcomes and improvements. Intake coordinators meeting is another meeting that's facilitated by the Mental Health Board, and that has not only all the funded providers, but many more in McHenry County who are interested in learning more about other agencies, so that if they did have somebody that presents in their agency that needed services beyond what they have, that they could properly refer people to other places. So the intake coordinators meeting is a monthly meeting, and it's a wonderful meeting that providers are able to really get to know other providers and other services. We also do clinical reviews. We have compliance and outcome audits that are happening regularly. We do network training and community education and outreach. And again, we are fiscal stewards to our dollars. When we look at fiscal year 23, because this is an annual report for fiscal year 23, when you look at the percentages of what we have served, not only in fiscal year 23, but it's pretty representative of what we serve in general, that most of our dollars go to mental health. Second is intellectual developmental disabilities along with substance use. And then we have a co-occurring mental health and substance use disorders make up the other percentage. So our fiscal year 23 funding, again, was our $10.9 million budget, again, 9.6 was on services, because what happens is that some of those dollars end up coming back to the mental health board because of programs or services that weren't able to be utilized. So we're hoping that that changes in the future and that we have greater utilization and staffing needs in the county, that programs can be up and running when they're funded. I want to highlight some things from 23 for the annual report. For fiscal year 23, our network performed QPR trainings, and again, a lot of these are through the NAMI Association. 50 trainings were done with 2,172 attendees and gatekeepers. That is huge. When Connie talked about that we're looked at throughout the county, other mental health boards, they look at us and say, oh my goodness, you guys perform so many trainings and you're able to get that out in the community. We really try hard to promote all these trainings, the QPR trainings, the mental health first aids, and really getting those out there. The other prevention effort is the naloxone, and that has been a great effort from many people. But Live for Lolly is one of the providers that we fund, and they were able to distribute 6,398 doses last year, and that was 40% more over the previous year. I know our health department is doing a great job. We have vending machines now, and there are a lot more others who are also distributing the naloxone. A Way Out program, again, had some great outcomes. They had a total of 1,417 participants last year, which was 2.5 times more greater than the year before. Now, Way Out is a 24/7 response for those that have substance use issues and really getting them into services. And it's a wonderful program that is out there for people who are struggling with substance use. There are so many other accomplishments that we have. When you look at our strategic action plan, again, you had the PDF copy. We gave it to you. I'm not going to be going through all of these, but there are a lot of accomplishments, much of which I discussed about the CARF accreditation. Again, we're very happy that we partnered with the state's attorney's office with the opioid treatment settlement dollars. So those dollars, again, are going out. We do reports collaboratively with the state's attorney's office that go back to the state. And again, I think it was a great move to have it come through the mental health board, those opiate dollars through 2038, and really getting to the agencies that are really able to use those dollars. Again, there's 2 pages here. I'm not going to go through all that, or Connie would kill me. But I did want to emphasize at the end here that the mental health board, again, does fund a lot of agencies, as you see on the list. We had 31 in fiscal year 2024 currently. And when we fund these agencies, again, they're programs. We don't fund the agencies totally. We fund, anywhere. The largest agency last year that we funded was at 64%. Most of the agencies are about 2% overall of the agencies that we fund. It's programs that we're funding. So these programs that are listed, these are the programs that we fund primarily almost 100% with the mental health board dollars. Without our dollars, these programs would not exist. And again, these are crucial programs in the community, besides other ones such as access to psychiatry that we fund as well. So that's about it. I just wanted to mention that we will be coming during our fiscal year 25 budget process. We will be going through the Finance Committee, and we will be going through Public Health as well. So if there's questions regarding the budget, our board hasn't approved our budget, fiscal year 25 budget at this time. As Connie mentioned, we're looking at about a $12.5 million estimate. We're not sure what the sales tax is going to, this first year is going to be a trial and error for us. We're not sure what the sales tax is going to come to, but we're estimating about $12.5 million for our budget for fiscal year 25. Our board is hoping to approve it this month, and after that point, then we'll be bringing it forward to the county and going through the committees at that time. But I know I thanked the county board last month, but thank you again for all your hard work and efforts and really listening to us. I think this was a tough year for all of us, and I think there was a great learning that we all did together, and I can't thank you enough for your support and understanding of mental health services and putting it on the March ballot so that we have hopefully more funding in the future that will be coming from that. Thank you.
Do we have any questions or comments? Ms. Wagner?
Thank you. So thank you for all that you guys are doing for the mental health in the county. So you guys had the town hall last week, and thank you for doing that because it means you're listening to the community and the providers. So I was able to attend for the most part, and you guys had 3 questions in your sessions. What was working? Well, you had 4, but I don't remember all of them. What is working? What needs work? And what are the gaps? And what changes should be made? Just wondering, what are the major themes that came out of the town hall? Positives and negatives. Well, I shouldn't say negatives, gaps.
Yeah, well, a lot of them have been what we've been hearing over the years. Transportation is always one that comes up all the time. And we help to provide transportation by one of the platforms that we have called Kaizen. And that transportation, though, is for just treatment options. What we're hearing is that our clients are needed transportation for like employment. They're having a hard time getting to their jobs. And again, for our clients, that's crucial. So that is something, that we're not currently funding is transportation to employment. And I don't think we can do that, but if there's something we can do collaboratively as a county, that was a huge piece that came up. The other piece is residential services. We do hear that, especially for kids that are aging out, residential for IDD programs, that's big, along with psychiatry. Those were some of the main themes. I know Connie led one of the sessions, so I'm sure she can talk about some of the sessions that she led.
It's really hard. I get calls all the time from parents who have developmentally disabled children that the parents are aging out. Where do they go with their child in McHenry County? There's not a lot of residential places. Also, in this county, we have nothing for adolescent inpatient. We have adult inpatient for mental health. We have nothing for adolescent, and that was one of the biggest needs. We have approached hospitals, but nobody's really interested in it at the present time. But those were the biggest needs.
Yeah, it's part of our strategic action plan, so we'll continue. So we did put the survey feedback itself. It'll be on the board agenda, but the survey results from all the forums are actually being tabulated right now. So we'll be able to give you all a better summary in the future.
Thank you.
So those are still being tabulated from all the results.
I do want to say, too, that one of the big positives I heard in every session I was the collaboration between agencies. I think that's a great way to combine resources. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I have one question. I want to follow up and get an update from a question I asked last year. Is where are you at as far as getting up and running for broadcasting your meetings? I think that the town hall would have been a perfect opportunity to be broadcast, so those who couldn't attend would be educated, and the communication that would be provided there would be a great benefit to the community.
We're very close to it. We have gotten an updated bid for the cameras. I believe right now the door project is superseding the camera project, but I believe the cameras are going to be installed in July, is the last I heard. So it will be soon. It will be in the next few months.
All right. Great. I don't see any further questions, so thank you for coming today and the important work that you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we'll move on to new business. Do any members have items from next Tuesday's agenda they'd like to remove for discussion? Mr. Scala?
Item 13.
Mr. Godemauer?
10B1 and 10B2.
Ms. Wegner?
16A5, the sheriff's report.
Ms. Von Bergen?
10A2, 10A5, and 10A6.
And Mr. Kearns?
16B3-1. And only also for Tuesday to register on the consent agenda that I would like to be registered as there's no vote on all of the solar panel programs, including the, or for the reason of our state governor and legislature disregard for our county jurisdiction.
Seeing no others, Ms. Von Bergen, 10A2.
But I kind of lump all of the solar.
Sure.
Because they all pretty much have the same concern. Number one, the time limits, but my main concern with a lot of these are drainage issues. And in light of a current situation on a solar field in Richmond Township, Hill Street and Solon Road, which I know P&D was just made aware of this morning. I guess I have some questions on, how drainage issues are solved. I understand that, they're required to, do a drain tile study, but in light of this problem on the Hills Road solar farm, they either hit a drain tile or these panels are creating extreme water channelization and pushing a large amount of water onto neighboring properties downstream. So if there was a drain tile hit and they did a drainage study, why are we still having this problem? Are they not looking at these things?
Sure. So, thank you for bringing that Hill and Solon Road to our attention. So we're going to do an assessment on that. In terms of how they're handled, we approach them as we do for any development. So depending on what the circumstances are, what the conditions are at the site, if they have something that would cause otherwise like an inundation of water, then they would have to slow that release rate with just some temporary measures. So I mean, just if they have that scenario, if it's a drain tile, something that was surveyed, and then during implementation, my immediate reaction to that is it's the human element. So it's the folks that go out there and didn't adhere or maybe are off 10 feet or a foot. We'll assess this one, verify what's going on. And then on future ones, I guess I would, I wish you guys had to have our confidence that we will address them as they come up and address them accordingly.
Thank you. Just one more quick question, because there was legislation that was passed in relation to that, and that they are required to, repair any drain tiles that they hit, or, mitigate any type of water that is pushed onto neighbors. But I'm not sure that there's a time frame attached to that. And I'm wondering, with that legislation, can we put a condition where these things are fixed immediately? Because right now, it's, you're basically relying on the court system. And when you have farm fields in play and a large amount of, either surface water coming across it, you're talking about years and possibly pulling farmland out of production because they don't fix it right away.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the condition, when it comes into, as a conditional use, I would be guessing that the answer is gonna be no. But, yeah, I mean, when there's any corrective action, it's, we try to paint the picture of the importance to get it done ASAP, kind of all hands on board to address it. There's no guarantee that that time frame in which they address that is going to be accepted by everyone. But it's our expectation, and that's what we'll lay out, that when those things are causing other or compound issues, that they do address them as soon as possible. But you're right, our leverage is then notices to appear or other litigation that would go through the state's attorney's office, shy of stop work orders and all that would force them to address it.
Okay, thank you.
Is there like an operational approval for them to begin production there that could be used to make sure that that's repaired before they start operation?
Yeah, the stop work order would be the mechanism for that, and there's a couple conditions that they have, if you will, that they would have to hit in order for us to issue that. But the items that you laid out there would certainly be cause for that type of action.
Okay, Mr. Kearns.
Thank you, Tracy, for bringing this forward. And it goes to show the concerns that we should have and should try to challenge at the state level here. One question on this drainage. Under the bonding, I know it's probably not for this, but under the bonding, can't we go in and draw off of the bond possibly? Is there any way we could draw off the bond and repair these if this ends up in court for years? Could we fix it ourselves and draw off a bond for it?
I'll may refer a little bit to the state's attorney on that. Yeah, could I? Oh, that would be great, Norm. Yeah, I mean, think we could? Okay. Yeah.
We could take a really strong look at it, but I think that's an option for sure.
That would be nice to verify that if we could, and that would solve a lot of our issues. Thank you.
Ms. Greeno?
Yes, I wondered if we take action that Member Kearns was suggesting of letting this be an administrative function since we have no say. Would that impact the bond amount, or is that now set by the state in stone at 100%?
Yeah, for the bond amount, yeah, that would be set at the time of the application, all that stuff. That would all fall under the state statute. In terms of what that would look like after, if we pursued that scenario that Member Kearns laid out, I think that would be part of the exploration, that we would verify that if we're pointing it towards this at this stage, do we still have adequate resources to address the decommissioning at the point in which we need
Okay, so by us having it be administrative, then it wouldn't impact our ability. I mean, that would be just as is. They couldn't come back on us and say, you had nothing to do with it, so we're going to change it on you. I mean, I know the state can and will, but just asking.
Right. I mean, that's a couple of different scenarios at once. I mean, in terms of the administrative approvals, right? It would still go through those hearings to meet the statutory requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, seeing no further comment on these items, Mr. Gottemoller, 10B1.
Yes, 10B1 is my client's Mr. former Chairman Kaler's property, and I have to recuse myself.
Noted. 10B2?
10,
Oh, sorry. Larry, did you want to speak to 10B1?
Yes, please. The 10B1 is the one I presume all of you got a letter from the city of Crystal Lake. And the ZBA did a pass that 6-0, I believe. So I was gonna, there was a couple people that had questions about it, and to get it clarified, I was gonna ask Adam to speak to it, if you would, please.
Sure. So a couple of foundational elements to this. It's not a conditional use, so it's a rezoning from a B1 to a B3. The real big delineation between those B1 and 2, they are, those are districts that are intended to provide commercial uses to surrounding adjacent residential areas. Difference between B1 and B2 is one would serve alcohol. So B2 is those, that's what those are. B3 is intended, they're a little bit heavier uses, and they're intended to cater to the larger region. So it's a little bit less of the neighborhood business, and it's more of, if you will, more industrial or more intense uses. So the use standards would open up. As part of this, you'll see in our staff report, we have put together the comparison to the 2030 plan and the other areas around there and how it's developed, both B1 and B3, and this is really where the assessment kind of lands, is that it maintains that mixed use, so whether it's B1 or B3. So that's where the staff assessment lands. In terms of the Crystal Lake, Crystal Lake's noticed, as any jurisdiction is noticed with a rezoning within the 1.5 miles of extraterritorial planning jurisdiction. So that's one of the process steps that we take. But other than that, I mean, I don't know if there's any other foundational items you'd like me to touch on, Larry, or anything else?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. That was, I guess, the conclusion of the Crystal Lake statement, kind of drew a blank. That objection from the municipality triggers the supermajority vote, which would be a 3/4 vote, which is 14 members of the county board.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Kearns?
So on the supermajority, if a member, Gonemeller, abstains from that, is it still 14?
It would, as I understand it, yes, it's the members of the vote, members of the county board.
I don't like that idea, but, it kills it right there, possibly. But anyway, I'd like to say that, when you read through the ZBA's comments on that and everything, I don't feel we should deny this. I think we should be all supporting this. And we're restricting a business property, and that's our plans, is along these corridors, high, to maximize those. That, I'm saying it wrong, but to maximize the use of those properties. And this zoning would do that, would allow them to do it. And maybe they don't want to keep a storage facility there and do something else later on, future owners, whatever. It doesn't lock them into it if we approve this. And I can agree and back up the ZBA with their wishes to do that. And I think we should be a vote in the affirmative for this. Thank you.
Ms. Campbell?
Yeah, I just wanted to see if Adam would expand a little bit on what that means in terms of the type of uses that could be allowed in B3 that would not be allowed in a B1 or B2. Because I think part of this is the city looking at that to have a certain character. Obviously, there's stuff all over the place, right? And you get into areas further down 176, and I know that they just approved something down there by 31. But once you rezone, it doesn't, the question isn't so much whether or not it's going to be a storage facility in the end, because once you zone to B3, anything within the B3 category is allowed. And so you're not just, and whether or not you're maximizing the potential on that property, I don't know that the B1, B2 versus B3, you can say one maximizes it more than the other. It depends on how you want to utilize that space. Do you want to cater more locally, or are you trying to create something to your point, to the larger community, right? What is the better use, and who is in the better position to determine what that would be? So are there a few things, I know there's heavier types of things that are going to be allowed down the line once it's zoned to B3.
Sure. And I'll preface these examples as they are strictly examples, and it's a very broad, the answer is very broad. So the first one I'm looking at in the ordinance is auto repair. There's auto repair minor, which should be kind of the fender benders type mufflers. Auto repair major, which would be the reconstruction of cars, kind of the difference there in paint and all that. Broadcasting studios, several different options kind of going through and comparing B3 to B1. But to answer, while I'm kind of scanning through this, to answer your question, that decision goes to the board.
Right.
The last part of your statement was
Right.
architectural or agricultural implement sales and services would be permitted in a B3, but not in a B1. Would be another decent example.
Like car washes, was that like truck washes, car washes, or some of the things, I had it up here and I think I just deleted it.
Okay.
Closed the thing up. So, oh, wait a minute. So heavier retail, right? Different types of retail, more, it could also be wholesale on there. There could be things that allow for more truck traffic.
Sure,
that
it is
zone.
more,
It's more intensive.
industrious. It is more industrious by nature.
Right.
And
Okay.
And then there's other examples that I'm seeing here. A lot of them are permitted at the same time. Golf course, driving range, commercial would be allowed by right in a B3, not a B1. Heavy retail sales and services would be B3, not in a B1.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
So I'm sorry. I'll finish that off by stating that this is referencing table, the zoning district uses in our UDO. It's a very large table.
Ms. Greeno?
When I read the letter, I have a lot of respect for the city of Crystal Lake and their planning, their long-range planning. And so they've had every opportunity in the past to annex this, rezone this, have input on what was happening. So with this happening at this time, the impact on me was that they were either being opportunistic or retaliatory. And I could not understand their true motivation behind the letter. And so I would be supportive of moving ahead and approving the zoning at the county level. I just don't understand why they weren't proactive if they had any concerns about what was going on at such a major intersection.
Ms. Van Hoff?
Yes, I have a couple of questions. One, so the zoning was changed from B1 to B3 to allow this, is that correct?
That's what the petition is for,
Okay,
to rezone it.
so that's what we would be voting on.
Correct.
To change this from B1 to B3. So the storage unit would not be allowed in B1?
It's not allowed by right, no.
Okay.
It's not.
What are some examples of some things that would be allowed in B1?
In B1. Yeah, okay. Let's see. There are lighter uses. So as I'm scanning through this, and why I'm silent right now is I'm scanning and I see a lot of, if it's allowed in B1, it's almost exclusively going to be allowed in B2 or B3 because it's
Okay.
a lighter use.
Okay, the reason I'm asking is because someone referenced the storage facility that was put up on 176 going out of town. So that is, I mean, it's a different location. I think there's a concern with I have questions about how it would look. Is it going to be grotesque looking, or is it going to be something that, and I'm glad you're here.
I can tell you exactly what it will look like.
Okay.
It'll be a one-story facility. Sorry.
And but I'm curious.
Yeah, I don't think we can allow this. I think that the testimony that was given at the hearing is what we're supposed to be considering as far
Okay.
as the facts of the matter.
Okay.
So I apologize for that, but we are
Okay.
kind of bound by certain
Okay,
protocols here.
I understand that. We are. Okay, all right, thank you for saying that. I understand that. I just have some concerns because it is coming into the city of Crystal Lake. And we are, we are in the process now of investigating, putting a drive-through at the animal shelter, that building that we have on 14. And so it seems like when we're doing something like this, we should be talking to the city more, because that's going to come up. We have some concerns. I don't know if that's going to happen, because we don't know if we're going to be able to have enough space to go behind the building or whatever, but there are watershed issues that can come up. So when we're doing something like this, it might be a good idea if we've got a neighbor there, that we should talk to them ahead of time. So, thank you.
Mr. Scala?
So I read through this last night, and I agree. I'm in support of this change. My only question is, if for some reason this were to fail, they could come back and ask for a variance request. Is that true?
1 second.
Good morning. My name is Anna Kurtzman. I'm the senior planner. So I'm not certain what variance might be requested. They would have the opportunity to potentially ask for a conditional use permit for the storage units, if that's what they would want. I believe that state law does prohibit them from the exact same application, same geographic location, within 1 year. So they may have to wait a little bit before they make that application, but they would have the opportunity to.
They would not be able to make the conditional use.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm corrected on that.
But variations, I don't.
Variations on uses are not allowed. So it's either the B3 or they are not doing the storage units on this property.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Kunkel?
Yeah.
I think we all know the corner, and we of course have to be cognizant of our municipal partners. However, this meets the definition of highest and best use for McHenry County. I think it's a good thing for that corner, and definitely the change will enhance the corner, and we certainly do not want to impede any business growth in McHenry County. Thank you.
Chairman?
Mr. Reinert?
Yeah, the only thing that I have that I would like to say is that this is in the Crystal Lake watershed, which is anything that goes into the ground is into the lake I think it's within 1.5 years or something. It's a real short term. So when we're at B3 and a car restoration or a body shop or something where you could be working with hazardous chemicals or paints that could get into the watershed and go into Crystal Lake is prevalent, is certainly a concern of mine on this one. I think that when I got calls from the city of Crystal Lake, knowing that I live in Crystal Lake, isn't the fact that the portion that they want to do the self-service on, they know what they're going to do there. But the other half of the property, by zoning it, they don't know what they're gonna do there. And this is why Crystal Lake is so concerned, because if we do approve it B3, Crystal Lake doesn't know if what they're going to do is gonna turn it into something that they vehemently don't like, but once it's under B3, they have no voice in it, and they are concerned about the lake. So I'm not saying I'm gonna vote for or against, but I would, I would at least advise that we make sure that we know what they would do with that B3 relative to the lake if we did approve this. Unlike 176 and 31, where it was more industrial in that area, that we turned down because of a couple neighbors. By the way, if you guys remember, this is actually a threat to Crystal Lake.
Ms. Ness?
I'm curious how the letter came at the last minute to us. I mean, maybe they thought the zoning board was going to deny the project, but the process is months long, and I'm wondering how Crystal Lake didn't come to us sooner. And I'm sure that people have been talking to each other because I've heard about it. I do agree. I think this is a good use of the property. I think it will enhance that corner. That corner already has sort of an industrial look to it. They have done due diligence, and I do think our zoning commission has done a good job looking at everything. So it certainly would look much better than what's there right now, and I think it would benefit the community significantly. Thank you.
Ms. Van Hoff, did you have your light on from before?
Yeah, I wanted to follow up with Adam. One of the reasons I asked you what would be allowed in the B1 that would not be allowed in the B3 is the same thing that was brought up with the watershed and with what could happen later. So why we changed the zoning as opposed to getting a conditional use for it? Because once we open that door up and change the zoning, anything could go there. And that would be a concern. So that's my concern.
Sure.
I live in Crystal Lake,
Yeah.
and so
I
it's a
mean,
concern to me.
really, it's the applicant's choice. If what they're pursuing fits them, that's what they bring in. We verify that it would comply with the ordinances. If someone came in with a different business model or different idea on it, then exactly they would pursue what would best suit them, and we would try to put them down the path that would be the most economically efficient to achieve their goals.
So going back to Member Scaler's comment, if it failed as a zoning change, could they then approach the zoning committee again for conditional use?
We know that they want to do mini warehouses. They would not be, that use would not be allowed in the B1 district at all. So it wouldn't, the ordinance doesn't even contemplate to allow for a conditional use for that. In a B1 or a B2. So the only way that would be feasible to do such a use would be in a B3.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Kearns?
Just my opinion on a couple of these issues that have been brought forward by members is on the watershed. When you read the hearing, minutes of the hearing, they agreed that they're going to follow and protect the watershed when they make changes. The other side of that is, that's been a nursery for 60, 70, 80 years with the hoops longer, right? With the chemicals and everything in those greenhouses, that if it's going to feed to the lake, which it could, but there shouldn't be any weeds in Crystal Lake at all, if that was going on. So, but through their storm drainage and all of their protections, I don't see that as an issue here. They have to follow the rules of protecting that watershed. So, hey, a solar farm doesn't have to, the other solar farm down the road didn't have to even worry about the watershed, which is right in the heart of it. And so if the state doesn't have to do this, then why should these, highest and best use have to do it for these folks here? I mean, we need to pass this, and thank you.
Ms. Meshes?
I feel like I may be just echoing Jim's comments, because I was looking at the response from the McHenry Lake County Soil and Water Conservation District on this, and it does speak to the fact that they would have, if, we're not, I don't think we're worried, I don't think Crystal Lake is maybe worried about the current owner, but it's the future uses, right? That the Army Corps of Engineers would have to approve a permit because of the wetland. So there are, and for clarification from him, there is protections against for environmental uses, right? I mean, this, and that, because that would be my only concern, is that, oh, no, now we could bring something that's dangerous to the environment, but not that this entity would, but that a future one would. My understanding is that there are protections, right?
There are, yeah. I mean, depending on what the use is. So a paint booth would have double containment. If there was a gas station, they would have similar things, where it'd be a double wall, underground tanks, or whatever it might be. Yeah, depending on the use, that would drive what the requirements would be. And when it comes to specifically the Crystal Lake watershed, it's a very prescriptive procedure to comply with it. Pardon me? Correct, yeah, there are gas stations in the immediate proximity.
Okay, seeing no further comments on this item, Mr. Gottemoeller, 10B2.
10B2, if you look at it, you'll see that the zoning board approved a B3 use. There's a house on this site that they would planned on maintaining, and they were going to make that A2. The zoning board voted against the A2. That leaves the petitioner in the position that if we followed our zoning board, that they have a house they can't rebuild if in case it's destroyed by fire or wind or anything else. It puts the petitioner in a very precarious position long term. I am going to vote to overturn the ZBA's recommendation on that front and actually approve the A2. I don't believe that we should set a petitioner up so that they can't rebuild property that a home that already exists. And to deny that A2 use would put that home in that position. And so that's all.
Aren't there also issues with potential loss of insurance from their insurance provider?
There would be very much problems with insurance. Most insurance companies do not want. So your circumstances on your home is if it's destroyed 51%, you can't rebuild it. So that means the insurance company would face a total loss, even though it was something that anybody else might have rebuilt, and they don't like to be in that position, don't like to insure that. So that would be a problem with them for their own insurance for those purposes.
Okay. Seeing no further comment, Mr. Scala, new and unfinished business.
Good morning, board members. You have at your place a resolution in regard to the MC EDC and the McHenry County. This resolution has not made the agenda yet, but it will be for Tuesday night's voting meeting, so I wanted to bring it up and discuss it real quick. The MC EDC has been going through a process of finding a new executive director. We have an individual currently that we're negotiating with. One of the concerns of the individual has been the lack of benefits that the MC EDC provides to that position. There are none. And so this individual has a family and currently has benefits at their current position. And so taking this position is not only a financial concern, but a real concern for their family. We are negotiating with the individual currently, and it was, I've been working with staff on potentially having the MC EDC employees being paid by the county, but not county employees reporting to the county officials. They would still be reporting to the MC EDC board, but simply being paid by the county. this not only provides a benefit package, which would then, in turn, this potential new executive director would be more inclined to take the position because of that, but in turn, at some point, make the position more viable and enviable, I guess, in the future. The resolution that's put forward, I propose that it be cost neutral to the county. The contract between the MC-EDC and the county expires at the end of this year. And I would assume that we would want to continue a contract and that could be negotiated going forward, and what that would look like would be up to the county board. So for the remainder of the contract that's currently in place, I am proposing it being cost neutral to the county. So the MC-EDC board would pick up the difference in cost for all benefits and everything outside of what it would be entitled to for this regard. The MC-EDC has the funds in order to cover this additional outlay of benefits. And so that's why I'm recommending that it come through as a cost neutral to the county. So I'm just, I would hope that we could pass this and then in turn hire the new executive director, and then I could make an announcement to everybody here that who that individual is, and we could make the EDC grow and make it work for the county. But I'm here to answer any questions if anyone has any regarding the resolution.
Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Scala.
Okay, thanks.
Ms. Altoff?
Thank you. I'm just going to tack on to what Mr. Scala stated, and so you all understand that this type of arrangement is not unusual throughout the state of Illinois. This is a very common practice when you have those kind of quasi-governmental entities to get better individuals into those positions when that original organization doesn't have the wherewithal to have that many employees to make the benefit package worth including in their budget. So this is not an unusual request at all, if that gives people more comfort. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no further comments. Ms. Wegner, 16A5.
Thank you. So I'm looking at the traffic portion of the report, and it just seemed a little alarming because there's a huge jump in pedestrian injuries, and then, pedestrian and then injuries. So I was just wondering if you could give us an explanation about why the increase is so large, and if there's any way that this can be reduced in the future.
Yes, I can give you more information, but not today. I'll have to go back and get the data behind these numbers. Not sure about reduction, but I'll certainly ask those departments. An injury is an injury, but I can get more information on the pedestrians. And these are kind of month to month, so it's
choppy.
It's very choppy,
Yeah.
but this time last year was 0, and this month is 18, so I can send info on that.
That'd be great. Just, does it seem to increase in the summer months? Is that a trend? I know I'm probably asking.
I think there are increases across the board in the summer. We have, not just with the traffic, but in patrol, we have different details where we do seatbelt checks and DUI. So everything is increased slightly.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
You bet.
Ms. Greeno?
So related to this issue, one of the long-term study results of recreational marijuana use is increased traffic accidents and fatalities. So as you're looking at it, can you see if there's any association on the numbers with recreational marijuana use in the county? Thank you.
Ms. Campbell?
Okay, so I'm going to follow up as well. So I actually thought about this in the past and didn't think about it until we were talking about it right now. And when you mentioned choppy, you're right, because it's month to month and it varies. And I don't want to create a lot of work, but could we add, like, what is the year? How does that compare on an annualized basis, like maybe, how do I say this? Like, we don't have a total year for 2024, but we do have a total number in 2023. How are we trending in terms of the yearly total? And I know that I don't want to make a lot of extra work, but, and I'm just saying, when you look at this report, it is a little hard because it's just a monthly thing.
Sure.
Right.
So let me think about that a little
Yeah,
bit on
it's-
how to change it. We added at the board's request a couple years ago, the column of the prior year, so you could look and see what the difference was. So we might be able to do a column for annual, but it's not gonna mean anything until you get the next year's annual numbers, so.
I would just say,
Year to date?
I'm just thinking, like, I don't have a total number of what happened in 2023 to understand if where we're, yeah, like you would get a total for 2023 and a year to date in
Right.
2024. But that's, I know it's a lot more information, and this is,
Sure.
you're trying to fit that into a small form, but just on a monthly basis, it is a little bit hard to tell how we're trending.
Sure, a year to date isn't gonna be a good trend though, if
No, either.
things are increasing in the, so.
No, think about it.
Let me think about
All
it,
right,
and
yeah.
then I can touch base with you and maybe come up with a new format.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, last item here, Mr. Kern, 16B31.
I really don't have a question on this other than reading through it, I think there's Scribner errors in this. It keeps referring to Village of Lake in the Hills instead of Fox River Grove in a couple of the whereases. That's all that is an error? Okay. That just needs to be fixed. Yeah, I know.
A quick copy and paste. Sorry.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Pete, you got a report for us today?
On your desk, I included the county administrator goals for the coming 12 months. I just wanted to thank all you guys who helped me assemble those, and in particular Joe Gottemoller for his working on my evaluation. So thanks for that. Wanted to let you know, and I think we mentioned that the chairman and I and representative from the sheriff's office got to go to the U.S. Medical Glove facility in Harvard a few weeks ago, and kind of out of that, we've got another meeting set up. They were clear that they want a couple hundred more employees fast. So Scott and I and Jeff Pointner and Jake Rohn from Workforce, along with representatives from the college and DCEO are all going to go up there on the 30th to again talk about how the county and the college and DCEO can assist with in getting new employees up at the U.S. Medical Glove facility. So looking forward to that meeting. I wanted to acknowledge Mike Scala referenced the amendment to the MCEDC agreement. I just want to thank Scott and Carrie in particular. These two put their heads together and came up with that pretty quick, and that was a good job, so thank you for that. Yesterday afternoon, had a meeting at the courthouse with all the leaders in the justice group and most of their deputies. It was a great meeting. It was kind of the 8th month check-in on the Pretrial Fairness Act. A lot of you, we talked about this when we were building the fiscal 23 budget, that this was going to start and we were going to have to check in after 6 months and see how things were going. That Pretrial Fairness Act finally kicked in last September, and this was kind of our 8-month check-in, and it was a really good meeting, very, very positive. I think by and large, your courthouse officials did a fantastic job of estimating what it was going to take to do these pretrial hearings. I don't see real dramatic changes in our fiscal 25 budget. That's going to kick off just in another month. But it was a very positive meeting. Chairman Bueller was able to attend as well, and it was a good job. So appreciated that. One of the things that was also announced at that meeting yesterday is that Chief Judge Camille would like to have an open house at the courthouse, and we'd like to do that prior to your June board meeting. So on June 18th, kind of roughly 4:30 till 6:30, the courthouse is going to be open, not only for you county board members, but municipal officials and state legislators and other folks as well. I think we're going to kind of formally announce this at the McCog meeting next Wednesday. Judge Camille will be in attendance and kind of reference this, and then we'll get the communication out. But that's the direction we're heading right now. So Just want to thank everybody for that. Finally, again, I want to thank Leo for her presentation with Connie today. And there was a reference that, that we're going to kind of make this an annual thing. Yes, we are going to make this an annual thing, but also working with Leonetta and your liaison, Carolyn Schofield, we're going to try and have quarterly updates to PHCS as well. So 3 times a year at PHCS and 1 time a year in front of the full county board is sort of the timetable we're imagining. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Pete. We do have need for executive session today, so I will entertain a motion to enter executive session for pending litigation per 5 ILCS 120/2C11, and also to review executive session minutes of 9/14/23 meeting per 5 ILCS 120/2C21. Mr. Scala makes the motion. Ms. Altoff seconds. All in, or Kathy, call the roll, please.
Pamela Altoff. Carolyn Campbell. Joseph Gottemahler. Terry Greeno. Eric Hendricks.
Yes.
Carl Kaminsky. James Kearns. Matthew Kunkel. Teresa Meshes. Lou Ness.
Yes.
John Reinhardt. Brian Sager. Michael Shorten. Michael Scala. Larry Smith. Gloria Van Hoff. Tracy Von Bergen. Kelly Wegner. Chairman Bueller.
Yes. And unfortunately, Yes.
Make a motion to go back into open session.
Mr. Scala makes a motion to go back into open session. Ms. Greeno seconds. Kathy, could you call the roll, please?
Pamela Altough. Here. Carolyn Campbell. Yes. Joseph Godemeyer. Here. Terry Greeno.
Yeah, here.
Eric Hendricks. Carl Kaminsky.
Yes.
James Kearns.
Here.
Matthew Kunkel.
Here.
Teresa Meshes.
Yes, here.
Lou Ness. John Reiner.
Here.
Brian Sager. Michael Shorten.
Here.
Michael Scala.
Here.
Larry Smith.
Here.
Gloria Van Hoff.
Present.
Tracy Mombergen. Here. Kelly Wagner.
Here.
Sherman Bueller.
Here.
I'll make a motion to send the 11:16 and 12:14 executive session minutes to the state's attorney for review.
Seconded by Ms. Meshes. That's seconded by Ms. Meshes. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Against? Motion carries. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Mr. Scala makes the motion. Ms. Greeno